does that even mean, Bowers game?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to be checking out Vikings on board from Blue Orange Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 plus. It'll take about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And Vikings on board is an area control worker placement game with a whole bunch of cutthroatiness. It tries to straddle that line between being a family game and being a great game night game, but doesn't succeed. Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Vikings on board. Before we get started, I do want to mention I don't have a physical copy of the rule booklet to show you. I used the final version as a PDF. It was a very well done rule booklet. It should have you up and running in no time. But also big thumbs up on the rule booklet. So Vikings on board is an area control worker placement game where you're going to be taking your little Vikings and going on some of these various different shaded spots right here, and then taking the action associated with that area. I'll talk about all the different things you're going to do in this game a little bit later, but let's get into how you're going to win the game. You're going to win the game by acquiring these goods right here. There'll be 3 different kinds of goods. You also can manipulate the price of these goods. If you go to the spot, you'll be able to raise the price on some of these goods, so you obviously want to raise the price of goods you have. And then last but not least, you'll be able to bet on who will have control over a boat. And if you're correct, even if it's not you, because you can bet on other people, you will get victory points, and those victory points obviously are how you're going to win the game. But I'm going to go over the components, then we'll get into the gameplay, and everything should make sense to you because it is actually a really simple game. So we're going to start with the board, and obviously the board looks very nice. And what you might notice on the board is, of course, these really cool looking ship pieces right here. And these are 3-dimensional. They are really awesome. I don't know if you're going to have to assemble them, if they're going to come pre-assembled. Mine came pre-assembled. And I do want to give a shout out to the box insert. They have a very nice box insert that works really well, holds everything just nice, tight, and snug. But the thing you need to know about these are they're going to have little shields on the side, either 1, 2, or 3 of a shield, and that is how you're going to be deciding who has area control of a boat, who has control of the boat. We already talked a little bit about the gambling rings, but this is where you're going to be placing your tokens, and you'll have tokens numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you take a particular action, you will be able to bet on who you think will have control of the various different boats, which color you think will when they set sail. So let's go over the different spots on the board, and hopefully it'll clear some things up. So the first spot right here is the first player spot. So if you go right here, you will be guaranteed to go first next round, and that is a huge deal, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. The next spot right here will allow you to move one of your colors on a ship to the front of a boat. So let's say this was red right here, and they could take this one and they could move it all the way to the front of a boat they are on. Now, why would they want to do that? Because if there is a tie, whoever is closer to the front on the boat gets control of the boat. Next, we have this one right here, which will allow you to take any one of your pieces and put it on the back of another boat. So let's just say I have no need for this one right here, so I might go there, and I might put it over here. Now, rules-wise, you can only have 5 shield sections on a boat, and you always have to have at least 1. The next spot right here is the betting spot. You go right here, you're going to take one of your tokens, numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you're going to place it face down on any of the spots out here that no one is on, and you are essentially betting on who you think will have control of the boat when it ships. So I might say, you know what? Red has 3 here, green has 2, blue has 1, so I think red will win right there, and that would be the action I would take there. Next, we have this spot right here, which is one of the 2 spots that deals with resources. So if you went here, what you would do is you would take the top thing on the resource, which this one would be the yellow wheat, I think it is, and then put it on the front of any boat you choose that it has not set sail. And a boat will set sail once it acquires an end piece. You'll put it like this, and you'll push it out to sea. It'll be really easy to see which ones have set sail and which ones have not. So you might set that one right there because, you know, reasons. Next, this spot right here, you go here, you'll be able to manipulate one of these 3 goods and move it up 1 so that the value of it will increase as you end the game, once you end the game. So we might raise the fur up to a level of 2. The next spot right here is one of the really cool spots because this one will allow you to move any colored piece to the back of any other boat. So you can move your piece, you can move someone else's piece. This is really where the cutthroat aspect of the game comes into play. This one is yet another betting tile, as it will allow you to place a bet or move one of your bets, because you might have a 4 out there, your most powerful 4 bet, and it looks like it's not going so well. You can just go here, and then you can move one. The next spot right here will allow you to draw 3 tiles, and then play one of those tiles anywhere. So we got wheat, nails, so we put the wheat on the bottom because we don't want wheat. We take the nails and we put it right there just because. The next spot right here is, without a doubt, the most important spot on the entire board. This is the set sail spot. So if you go here, you can make one boat set sail as long as it has at least one thing on it, one shield on it, and as long as it has at least one good on it. And what you do is you immediately, boom, put the end of the boat and then push it out to sea. This is going to trigger how you're going to get the goods, and we'll go over that right now, actually. So let's take a look at this boat right here. So this boat has 2 blue and it has 1 yellow. So this is a pretty straightforward one. Blue would have control of this boat and they would win the nails. Now let's pretend that there was another good on the boat. Let's pretend there were 2 nails on the boat. Blue would get the first nail, and then yellow would actually get the second nail because they are in 3rd place. If there was also 2 nails and a wheat, then blue would get the first pick and 3rd pick, and so on and so forth. So essentially, just because you have control of a boat doesn't mean you're going to get everything on the boat. You just get first choice, and it also impacts the gambling. Gambling-wise, you would now flip over the token, or well, if you won, you would take your token and put it onto what's called your scoring area right here. And if you didn't win, well, that's unfortunate. So, continuing onward, the last spot is the swap any 2 of any different color one. So you can swap any 2 shields, yours, other people's, all sorts of various different things. So let's just pretend this is how everything played out. What you would do now is you'd move this little black first player token over to this side, and now your new player order goes as follows: green, red, red, green, red, red, green, green. So where you place your workers is very important in the game. So let's just say red placed all the way back here, then green would get to go 2 times in a row, red 2 times in a row. So that is very important. Anywho, you are going to continue to go until 7 of the 8 ships have set sail. Once that happens, the game ends immediately. You tally up everything on your scoring card, which will be various different resources and successful bets you've won, and whoever has the most points will be the winner of the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how Vikings on Board is played. Alrighty then, Vikings on Board from Blue Orange Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. 2 to 4 players, which is a very restricted player count. Also, this is kind of a con, but it feels like there's a lot of symbology when you first start the game. About halfway through the game, you're going to know what everything does. But when you're first learning the game, it appears daunting because you're like, what does this space do? What does this space do? And there's no handy-dandy reference cards. You just have to look at the rule booklet. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that I did want to mention. Also, this game is extremely cutthroat. Now, it's not so bad at 3 and 4 players because, you know, it's area control, spots get blocks, or shields are going to get moved. But at 2 players, oh my goodness, pretty much every move you make is just trying to, you know, hurt the other person. And if you play with someone who doesn't like that sort of thing, this one is probably not going to be for them. So 2 players, extremely cutthroat. Another con that I had with the game is this is not one of those games where you're going to be having this great, grandiose plan that you're going to try and carry out. No, this is a game where if you try and carry out a big plan, the game is going to be over before you have time to do it. The game goes by very quickly. And once you start setting ships out to sail, it's going to happen pretty frequently. Which is another thing that I want to mention. There can be times in this game where you take actions to set yourself up for the next turn, and by doing that, you might do an action you're like, I have no need to do this action whatsoever, and it just kind of stinks. You're just like, I guess I'll do this, but there's really no reason to do it. It happens. It doesn't happen terribly often, but it happens sometimes, especially when you're trying to get your Vikings, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 in a row. So it is something that I did want to mention. Any other cons I have with the game? Yeah, there is one more thing that I did want to mention. I feel like this isn't going to be a game that... How do I explain this? I feel like I wish there was just one more little extra added crinkle to the game. It's a very straightforward, simple, streamlined game, and I just wish that maybe there was something else, like an extra added little layer to the game. You know, it's got the betting going on, it's got the worker placement, it's got the area control. I wish there was just maybe just a teeny tiny little extra something going on, maybe a little ounce of randomness going into the game. Hopefully they'll do something with an expansion in the future. It's not a deal breaker though, because moving on to the pros, Vikings on board. I had a lot of fun with this game, and I feel like this game is going to be really popular with a lot of people. So why do I like the game so much? First and foremost, let's talk about the components. The game board looks gorgeous. The miniatures look perfectly nice. They look like Vikings. They don't feel like they're going to break or bend or anything like that. Component-wise, everything is top-notch. Box inserts, well done. Artwork, the rule booklet, the PDF I got, very well done. So no concerns there whatsoever. Next, I like how streamlined everything is. It is just a ridiculously simple game to understand once you understand the symbology. It's just, you take your worker and you put him here. You take your worker, you put him here, you do this, you move a shield, there's your turn. Turns go by very briskly. This is a very quick game. It says it plays 30 to 60 minutes. I could not imagine a 60-minute game of this. The first game I played with was with 4 people, and we finished it in about 50 minutes. It goes by quickly once those ships start setting sail. Another thing I like is that there's just enough spots on the board to keep you interested. Oh, you know, I got this in my thing, so maybe I'll manipulate the price of this. Or, ooh, these haven't come out yet. Nobody's got nails, so you know what? I'm going to start manipulating the price of nails. I like that little extra added crinkle. I liked the gambling. I liked moving the shields. I loved the cutthroatiness of this game. So I played it with my wife. She doesn't like cutthroat games, so it didn't go over well. But then I played it with a guy from my game night. I played it 2 players with him, and it was, you know, and we're just like, we're trying to cut each other's throat the whole entire game, and it was great. Just every single move we were trying to screw each other over, trying to outthink and be like, oh God, what's he going to do to me? Oh, I'm susceptible, you know, I'm really, you know, he could really hit me hard right there. I liked that aspect of the game. I liked it at all the player counts. I did like it best at 4. You know what? I don't know if I liked it best at 4. I really liked it at 3, I think. You know what? I think my ideal player count was 3. 2 players was great. You had full control over everything except when people start screwing you over. 4 players had a little bit more randomness than you might like because you're really susceptible to what everybody else does. But 3 players, I felt like you had a good deal of control as to what you're doing, and you still had a lot of open spots on the board that you could play with. But honestly, I liked it all the different player counts. So overall, my final thoughts, game night game, yes. If you routinely hit 2 to 4 players, if you're looking at this as a game night game, a nice simple game night game, absolutely pull the trigger on this. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking at this as a family game, make sure that your family is going to be able to handle the fact that mommy or daddy are going to screw over little Billy by moving his 3 shield over and trading it for one of the 1 shields and doing this and that. But if they can handle that, I think families are going to have a lot of fun with this. I think kids are going to have a lot of fun going to those kind of screw you spots where they're moving shields around. Just overall, a very solidly made game, one that definitely is going to have a place on my shelf for a long time. That is Vikings on Board from Blue Orange Game, one that I definitely could recommend to you. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, Vikings, do they do it for you? Is that a theme that gets you going? For me personally, no. I've never really... You know, I get it. They're cool. They sailed around. They drank beer. They did cool stuff. But it never was a theme that really grabbed me. Oh, that's another con I forgot to mention in the game. While they try their best to get the theme across, it still feels like just a, you know, kind of a generic worker placement, but with really cool looking everything. But I guess I probably should have mentioned that about 6 minutes ago. But anywho, let me know, Vikings, do you enjoy them in the comments below? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.